When life gives you a beautiful and perfect avocado, you make avocado toast. But let me ask you this, if you could design your dream avocado toast completely from scratch, I mean the bread, the seasoning, the topping, all of it, what would it look like? Here's what I would do. Let me introduce you to Ralph. Ralph is my sourdough, I feed him every day, and he helps me bake bread. When we're talking about the perfect loaf, to me there is no discussion, we're talking about sourdough. If you've never done this before, I highly recommend you try. I'll put some links below to get you started. First of all, dissolve your starter in water. I'll put the exact amounts in the comments below as well. Now we can add in the flour. I like the lightness of a wheat bread, so that will be the main part of my dough, but I'm also gonna add a bit of whole wheat and rye to give my bread those nutty and malty accents. At first, I just roughly mix my flours with water until I get this really craggly mess here, but that's okay, don't worry. We'll first let this auto-least for at least 1 full hour. Now I'm gonna add salt, which I work into the dough, then I rest the ball for 30 minutes. Once they're up, we enter the so-called folding stage, where we wet our hands, then pull and fold the dough over itself once from each side, and then let it rest for 30 minutes. Repeat this step at least 3 and up to like 6 times, and you will feel how the dough gets stretchier and easier to work with every single turn. And only the last time, instead of doing another fold, prepare a kitchen towel that you dust generously with rice flour. Generously and rice flour are the keywords here. You will cry if you don't do that. Now I have a dedicated towel here. I just add additional rice dust wherever the layer is too thin. Carefully line a bowl with your towel and then set this aside. Get your dough out on a wet working surface, tuck it under itself a few times to form a tight ball, and then drop that in your bread basket, seam side up. So this little bread baby, we're gonna let it rest for at least an hour while I first clean up this mess, and then I preheat my oven at full power. That's 250 Celsius for me. But there is also something else you need to preheat. So this is what my dough looks like after a 60-minute proof, and then here is a blazing hot Dutch oven I preheated in my oven at full blast. Now just gently roll the bowl out into the Dutch oven. Don't worry if you used rice flour generously, this will be very easy. Score this guy a few times with a sharp wet blade, put the lid on, and in the oven we go for 20 minutes at full steam. Your bread should hopefully puff up nicely inside the Dutch oven. It's not gonna grow anymore at this stage, so we can take off the lid and bake for another 25 minutes or until our crust is nice and golden brown. One of the hardest things about making bread must be the fact that you absolutely have to wait until your bread has completely cooled down to room temperature. That's gonna take you at least a few hours, but hey, we get this beauty in return. Now we can go and toast that bread up. I almost feel bad with such a fresh sourdough loaf, but on the other hand, I really do want those nutty aromas, those roasty aromas, but I also want that crunchy texture to contrast the smooth avocado paste. Speaking of which, so as I have bragged about before, I happen to have obtained a truly perfect avocado here. It's nice and ripe, and I'm gonna mash it up with a fork until it looks like this. That's my preferred style, but just some avocado mash. So my idea is to create a seasoning, a spice and salt blend that is designed for this one particular purpose, avocado toast. Into a spice or coffee grinder like this, I first add some dried onions for body, dried basil and parsley for an herbal note, a bit of black sesame seeds for an earthy kick, and also sumac and citric acid powder for acidity. Super important for avocado if you ask me. These were just the sort of coarse ingredients that need to be chopped down a little finer, so after a quick grind, you'll get this weird ash-like powder, which already smells pretty good, but we are far from done, my friends. I first add a 1/4 cup of salt. This is of course the base flavor, and also it's going to help preserve this spice blend for a really long time. Now I'm gonna add dried dill, mustard powder, and zataar. These 3 give our spice blend this pungent earthy note. Then I'm gonna add harissa and chili flakes for heat, and of course toasted sesame for some nuttiness and texture. Might have gone a bit overboard here, but this is a great playground if you like to experiment with flavors. The final ingredient will actually be some lime zest, which really takes this amazing seasoning to the next level. I made this for avocado toast, but I can already see myself using this in so many more things. Now, just a sprinkle for my mashed avo and a good smear for my toast. But wait, is that it? Can we talk about eggs for just 1 second? I believe they belong on every avocado toast. And some of you are now probably saying, ooh, poached eggs, poached eggs. Well, I disagree. I just recently had a poached egg and I know it looks really sexy, but let's be honest here, it's such a mess. I do love poached eggs, but just please not on a sandwich. In fact, it's one of the few times I do indeed prefer a hard-boiled egg. And I don't want to be a bitch or anything, but I do have an issue with sliced hard-boiled eggs. I know if you try hard, you can get it sliced somewhat evenly, and you can also use one of these egg slicers. I'm sure you've seen one of these before. They do a decent job. But here's the thing. You get an array of very different slices. Some don't have any yolk, some are falling apart. There must be a better way, no? Well, indeed there is. Enter the long egg. Perfect slices all the way. Ever since I found this one online, I really wanted to try, so here it is. First, you're gonna separate eggs into egg whites and yolks. Now you're gonna need a cylindrical glass. Here in Germany, we have Kölsch beer glasses. They're actually quite perfect for this. You're gonna spray or rub that one with oil and then fill in your egg white. Now place the glass in hot water, at least 75 Celsius, cover the top and cook for 20 minutes. Remove the lid and cool your egg white glass down for a little bit before we move to the biggest challenge of the long egg. How do we get the yolk inside our egg white tube? So I tried a number of methods, but in the end I picked up this metal pipe from the hardware store. I used it to stencil out the center of my long egg. Then I scraped out all the egg that's inside, so I get this very strange looking egg white pipe. Please keep your comments family friendly, guys. Now I'm gonna fill this hole with yolk and then back into the pool we go for another 15 minutes. And believe it or not, we actually seem to have achieved the legendary long egg. It's a bit tricky to get it out of the glass without damaging it, but eventually you'll get it. This really must be one of the weirdest and coolest things I have ever cooked. It delivers on its promise. So 3 perfect slices on my toast, et voila, the avocado toast of my dreams. So let me know what your perfect avocado toast looks like and what other really easy dish you would like me to make a really complicated version out of. Hope you learned something today. I'm gonna see you in the next video.
This video was brought to you by Andong's epic Patreon supporters. Don't forget to subscribe and smash the bell for weekly food inspiration from all over the world.